Hello, Rivermen fans. Welcome into another edition of Trudel's Weekly Take presented by Health Alliance. And with Coach Jean-Guy Trudel, I'm Andrew Mossbrooks. As always, Coach, we're talking about a couple of games this past weekend. You hope to get a couple of wins this coming weekend. But let's start with the first one. Every team's going to lose games. It just happens. It's a shootout game. You guys go up 2-0. But we talked about it the next morning. Sometimes the score is a little misleading. That first period, despite being up 2-0, really wasn't as good as the score would indicate.
No, that was, to be honest with you, it was very poor. And I thought after the first, okay, we're up 2-0, and we played a very poor period. And then I didn't think it could get worse, but it did. In the second period, we played even worse. And in the third period, I was waiting for something, the guys to kind of, just get going, and it didn't happen. And I thought our only period we played well was the overtime period, which we kind of dominated that period, which is a lot easier 3-on-3. And then you lose in a skill competition. So for me, it's never a loss. We tied that game. But we got what we deserved. We didn't deserve a point. We got lucky on that one, and we'll take the point. But it was just I think it was the first game of the year where we just really didn't show up mentally or physically. We were just kind of there playing hockey. We weren't hockey players. And then, of course, we wanted to see a reaction, and we had a great morning skate. The guys had a lot of life the next day, and I thought the first period of the next game was just phenomenal.
I thought the first period was great. I think the second period, not so good. And then the third period, you guys shut them down. They had only 3 shots in that second game. It was a 3-2 win. What did you see in that second game? Third period, you could argue defensively your best of the season.
Yeah, we talked about defensively, but defensively comes with puck possession. If you have the puck the whole period, you don't give anything offensively to the other team, and I think that's what we did in the third. And I was really happy because you're right. The first period we played phenomenal. I think the last goal in that last minute, we're not big here in Peoria giving goals in the last minute. We're pretty upset about that one, and we came in the locker room and had a good talk. And I always say it's human nature, and it seems like it's always happening to us, especially this year. If we score early in a game and we take a big lead in the first, it seems like the second period we kind of shut her down and just wait to see what happens and, kind of leave it on our goalies a little bit to make the big saves. But then in the third period, after being, again, 3-2, close game, it was, like you said, by far our best defensive period, but because we had the puck. I think we had the puck maybe 90% of that period. We just controlled it in the neutral zone. We were very smart about it. We never did turnovers. We put it in areas where we can skate into it. And I think Brodeur only had to make one save on a tip. That was a good save. The 2 other shots were from the board, so we really didn't give absolutely anything that period.
And you brought up the neutral zone, which I think you guys were really shutting them down in because you got to get through the middle of the ice to be able to get into that attacking zone. You forced Evansville so many times to just dump it in, and then they're already gassed from being in their own end, so now they're going off for a change, therefore forfeiting possession. We've talked about this. It's basically a turnover when you just dump it in and go right off. So whereas your team plays a little differently. You don't ever like to give the puck over. So talk a little bit about that strategy through the neutral zone and how you approach that.
We practice it all the time, and we talked about it. For me, if you just, I don't even like to use the word dump anymore, because if you just dump a puck, it is a turnover. You're giving the puck to the other team, and hockey's going the way where, puck possession, I think it started with the Russian teams. Like, they always talked about having the puck 70-75% of the game, and I think we brought it over to North America. You see it in the NHL now. A lot of teams are just, they want that puck on their stick. If there's nothing, they come back. In the old days, in my days, it was like a no-no. You get to the red line. If you have nothing, you can't come back and make a pass back and keep that puck. But now I think teams are just getting smarter. Hockey's getting smarter. So we don't like to give the puck away. They dump the puck out of their zone. Our D will never just throw the puck back in their zone and give them the puck. We're going to back off. We're going to wait. We're going to get our routes going. We're going to do what we have to do to make sure we have that puck possession. And I feel like if you have the puck, like you said in the third period, we had the puck the whole period. So it's impossible for them to get anything, and they're chasing. When you chase the game all over the place, especially in the neutral zone, the routes are long. You get tired, you go and change, you put the puck deep, you go and change, we get the puck back, and we're fresh because we had the puck. And I always say, when you play offense or you have the puck, guys don't get tired. It seems like when they have to back check and play without the puck, they get tired. When you have the puck, they're always, going. And I like that part of it, but I also like the life on the bench. In the third period, the guys really wanted to win. They wanted to finish the weekend off, and they did what they had to do. And it was a big 3 points out of 4 for us on the road. It's a great, great weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you during a game, what is the hardest part? Now, this past weekend, we should mention Andrew Cohen, who used to be an equipment manager here. He does some of the business development work upstairs in the front office. He was with you on the weekend, an assistant coach, if you will. But, usually you are kind of that man on an island behind the bench. What's the hardest part during a game to manage or micromanage? Are there any things that you need to micromanage during that 60 minutes?
Yeah, when you start doing that, it gets really hard. I always say you're a coach during the week, during practices. You're a coach during meetings, during videos. When the game starts, you have your game plan. The guys have to execute. It's really hard to change on the fly the game plan. So you're pretty much looking at if they change something, and you will actually make usually you'll do a few different things during the period, but mostly it's during you come in and you have your 15 minutes off between periods, and then you kind of go over new details that you have to do to counteract what they kind of brought to you. So overcoaching sometimes is not good either. I always say you kind of feel, it's like anything else. You feel the game, you know what's going on, you feel if we have to change this in my work, but you don't want to do it now. So, and I'm lucky I have all these great older players. So even my D core, I'm not going to change anything. So I'm going to let them rotate. Even when we're playing 5Ds, if I don't have a guy behind the bench with me as a D coach, I let my defensemen kind of talk on the bench. And if I see like a PK or something, then I'll come in, I'll say exactly who I want, what position, what to do. But if it's 5-on-5 and the Ds are rolling, why would I come in and kind of eliminate that confidence that they have right now? So sometimes overcoaching is not good. And most of our adjustments are made between periods and what we have to do, especially at this level. You're only really rolling 3 lines, so it's pretty. And a lot of times we play 5D, so it's pretty tough to kind of change on the fly everything. As a coach, there's so much to do on the bench to say, next line up, what you want to change if a winger's not doing well or this and that, face off and zone that. It's pretty tough to get everything going. So, again, micromanaging is not exactly the way you want to do it. You want to make sure you sit down after a period, take 3-4 minutes, go over what you wrote on your paper, and then you readjust your game plan.
Let's go into some of that personnel, because you talk about, like, for example, wingers and things like that. Sometimes you're not only playing with 5D, sometimes you're playing just with not even a full roster. You had to do that Saturday. You were one less of a man because Jacob Reichert, after his game Friday night, got called up to the Fort Wayne Comets. Theo Calvis, who we basically had a cup of coffee with, he played 2 games over the weekend, and then next thing you know, Sunday he's getting a call, and this week he's with the Tulsa Oilers in the ECHL. So, yes, it's a byproduct of, obviously, this team's success and the culture embedded within moving guys to the next level. But what are the challenges with that? A, Reichert, who's a top winger, and B, you get a defenseman, as soon as you get him in, you lose him in Theo Calvis.
It's very difficult, especially the night of or the night before, because all your game plan is set certain of everything. So for us, Reichs was our first penalty killer, power play guy, net front guy, difficult position because every single loose puck you have to go after, and he's got the motor to do it. So you have to change everything on the fly, and within the morning skate, what I wanted to accomplish that Saturday was more of getting our feet going, because Friday we did not move at all. So, and you don't have time to put new guys in those situations, explain everything. So it's more, I always say it's more mental reps. So you tell them in the locker room what they have to do, but it's for them to be pros and actually see themselves doing the right routes on a PK, on a PP, taking another guy's place. And that's why when I do practices on my special teams and everything else, everybody has to look, everybody has to be on the ice, because we want to make sure if we change on the fly or somebody gets called up the night before, that they're kind of ready to go. And unfortunately, and it's not that guys don't have talent, the reason Reichs is in that position is because he's very good at what he does. So you're never going to get that from the other guy. You're going to get his best, but you're not going to get that. So it is difficult, like the day before or the night of games and stuff, when you get call ups, it's a little bit harder because you had a game plan going into the weekend.
Yeah. Now, with those 2 guys gone, Calvis and Reichert, as we mentioned, you had to bring 2 new players in. Addition comes subtraction, and vice versa. We have 2 guys, Zach Boursois, who had a little bit of time with the Adirondack Thunder earlier this year. And then on the forward end, Robin Hoagland, he just got in today, played a little bit with Evansville earlier this year in the SPHL, previously over in Sweden's Division I League. What can you tell us about both those guys? I guess we'll start with Boursois.
Yeah, Boursois was, it was a tough one, because when he got released from Adirondack, I think 6 or 7 teams in our league really want him. He's a very good defenseman. And for me, I got lucky enough. I had a good contact with his agent, Nick Riopel, and we spoke about it. And I think that the kid had the right mindset. He doesn't want to just sit at home and wait for the next. He wanted to play hockey games. He's a rookie, yet he's very talented. But again, I always say no matter what level you go, there's things to be learned and reps to be, taken to make sure when you go back up, you have those reps in you. And, that I always say it's every organization's got different things that they do. So learn from every one of them and get better. And he came here with a great attitude, happy to be here. So we're excited about him. It's another 6'3" body on D that has a heavy shot, and he plays the game the right way. His gaps are good. His stick is good. So we're really happy to have him. And then we had Robin coming in last night late, signed this morning, practice. And, man, he played in Evansville 2 games being a year. And then he's coming here. He's a talented kid, man. He can fly. He can skate. He's heavy. Today, and that's another thing, like with Bourgeois I had all week. So he's more up to par on everything we do. Robin, he's going to be a guy that I'm going to bring in, probably not play a lot of special teams because we went through it today, but it takes more than one rep to kind of get through everything you have to do. So, but he's going to be a big addition. I have a good feeling about Robin. I honestly think he's a lot more talented offensively. And I always say when he got like 45 points in 50 games in the NAHL when he played juniors, if you do that and then you go to Maine and you make the team in Maine and then you have something. So now it's up to me and the players to make sure we get it out of him, that offensive glare that he has. And if he keeps the effort that he had today, we'll be just fine with him.
Sort of like a diamond in the rough kind of find?
I hope so. And I'm always like that with every player I get. I feel like as an organization and the way we do things and the players we have, if we surround that guy really well and give him the right, the right opportunities and put him in the right areas to succeed, I always feel like everybody can come in and have a great success.
Let's talk a little bit about this weekend before we close up here. We've got a home and home. Finally, we're back home, but that comes Saturday. Friday, it's Quad City. Storm are 4-4-2. I look at these games. They've lost twice to Pensacola, but they're a pretty good team. It looks like they move the puck really well as well. Just going out their breakouts, just looking at some of the video. I don't know. I'm assuming by now you've had a chance to look at some of the stuff they do. What do you see in them? It's been a while. It's go back to opening night. That's the last time we played them, but this looks like a pretty tough team.
Very tough team. They were scheduled last week, and they went to Huntsville. They beat Huntsville, the reigning champs, and then they went that night they left for Pensacola. They played 2 in Pensacola, so 3-3.
Yeah, they got a point in one of the games.
And they got a point. They could have won easily both games. I watched the games. They had a lead in the third period in Pensacola the last game, which is their 3 in 2.5 days, and they were still out skating Pensacola. So I know they're a fast team. I think Dave is doing a good job. I think the new kid, they got an assistant coach that works with the D a lot. Also, they have some good rotations on the goaltenders have been playing great, and their special teams are starting to come alive a little bit. So they're a dangerous team. They're not Quad City from last year. Yeah. They have depth. They have 3-4 good lines. The 11 forwards that can skate. So for us, it's going to be the same type of thing. I think what helps us a little bit is we played Macon and we played Evansville that are that type of team, fast forwards, forwards that can fly in a neutral zone. So we kind of got used to it the last few weeks, but we're not taking it lightly. I've seen all the games. I watched their last 3 games last weekend, and we just watched video on them. And they're a very good team and they don't quit. There's no quit in their game. They just keep buzzing, and even offensively, they all have these small forwards that just keep their feet moving. I always say it's very hard to stop a guy that doesn't want to stop moving. So they're a very good team, very good goaltending right now, and their special teams are coming alive. So for us, it's going to be playing the same way, and it's our 5th game and 5 on the road. So we're kind of happy of coming back home on Saturday. For us to be 3-0-1. The first 4 games on the road, it's absolutely phenomenal what the boys are doing. So we're excited about attacking Quad City because we got them at the beginning of the year, right? The first game didn't, you don't really have video or you don't really have anything on them. Now we actually have, things that we can watch and what they do, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a good chess match to go against them. I know Dave is doing a great job over there this year, so hopefully we can go there and play the same type of hockey.
Can you show us your hand in net this weekend?
Yeah, we're going to go with Levine on Friday. We're going to put him in against his old team in that building, and then we're going to come back with Jeremy here on Saturday. Both of them are playing extremely well, so we're just going to keep going with that rotation.
There's not a bad option in net.
No, for us, it's nice as a coach. You do the job. So, and they're both very confident guys, so it's a lot of fun having them.
We're excited to be back home this Saturday, but first we'll take care of business Friday night in the Tax Slayer Center. It's a 7:10 puck drop there. Saturday back here in Carver Arena at 7:15. You can call 309-676-1040 to get your tickets. That'll do it for this edition of Trudel's Weekly Take. Head coach Jean-Guy Trudel, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andrew.